All right, we are back. Oh, we need stream goals for today. Stream goal: aircraft rotations. What other stream goals? Maybe we'll work on the braking system. Clean up aircraft description files, and then add air brake. Or we don't need the air brake just yet. Let's just first wait for some people to join. How about that? Can y'all hear me right? All right. I'm actually super excited to show you what I have done in the past, 2 days. It's pretty cool. We actually now have flight, sort of. We're almost there. I hope to have it done. Once it's done, this will be live. But let's first get some people watching. I can't refresh page. Come on. I can't see the concurrent viewers. This OBS thing is just a couple minutes behind. Clean up aircraft description files. Aircraft rotations. Aircraft roll rotation. And then apply control surfaces. This will be our kind of goal for today. I don't have as much time as I would have liked. I started this stream a little bit late, but yeah. So that's the goal. Aircraft roll rotation. I will show you what that means. I see one person's watching this. Oh, we can get those numbers up. I promise we can get those numbers up. Let's see. What has been done? For you, one guy who's watching, I'll show you what has been done with this project. If you've seen this before, you will know what I'm building. If you haven't, what I'm building is a web game with C++ and WebAssembly, and the goal is to be a multiplayer dogfighting game. So think the controls from War Thunder. You send maybe an invite link to your friend. 2 people spawn on opposite sides of the map. It's a dogfight. Missiles, heat-seeking missiles, radar missiles, guns. Yo, I've never seen this before. Awesome, dude. I've done it a lot in the past day. Off stream. But basically, I'd like there to be 16-player lobbies as well, but that's way down the road. Multiplayer is easy to think about ideas, really hard to implement. So here's what we've got so far. Okay, so you'll see UI. We've actually implemented some UI. Last time, the big thing we worked on was drawing quads to the screen. Since then, I have refined the UI system. So now we've got basically the War Thunder kind of look. We've got a ring that indicates where you're pointing and a ring that aligns with where the plane is pointing. I one-shotted this UI following the plane orientation system, and I am blown away by how well it works for truly 4 lines of code first try. There's some issues, if I wrote turn it around, you can see the UI, it does align with the plane, but it should be invisible if it's not in our field of view. We have motion too. So technically we have flight. And if I hold down tab, you can free look. And then once I release tab, plane will rotate. Now, when I meant rotations, our goals are rotations, you'll notice if I turn, the aircraft just uses its rudder entirely. That's not how aircraft turn. Aircraft use their flaps, which, by the way, the animations all work. But aircrafts, they roll. They roll and they pull up. That's how they turn. So today, at least now, we're going to quantify basically the difference in rotation. Well, the difference in angle between where this UI element is. Oh, there's an idea. We could use the UI element distance. I didn't even think about that. Point is, we're going to use that data to roll the plane. Yeah, we're going to use that data to roll the plane. I'm excited. I think it'll work. Once we have this plane rolling in place, the actual flight mechanics are I mean, I'd like there to be stalling. Right now, this is all just moving the plane forwards. But there will be stalling. You're going to have to actually worry about airspeed. There's going to be physics involved. Like, this is very, 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 very basic. But my goal here is to get a working flight controller and a map to just fly around that doesn't look like crap, and then get that live. I want people to be able to play this, because here's the thing. This all works in the browser. Let me compile for the browser real quick, just in case there are any changes. This whole thing works in the browser. If I get my window, we are in Google Chrome right now. It all works. So my goal is to have this to be a website that's hosted as soon as possible with just the flight controls, no multiplayer, nothing. And I want people to fly the planes. I want this to feel good. Like, when you've got a game that's simple like this, the most important thing is how it feels to actually play it and like fly. So that's pretty important. I want this in people's hands as fast as possible. So we're gonna get close to that today. I think we're gonna get closer. I have to go back to school in like 5 or 6 days. So I don't, once school kicks in, expect significantly less frequent updates. Nice. It looks exciting. Are you using Zed? I am using Zed. Zed's pretty good so far. I'm very happy with it. So here's the thing. The way that I wanted to do this, I tried my hand at doing this rotation thing earlier this morning. And the problem was, the way I did it was, basically the way this plane works is there's a bunch of calculations done. There's a bunch of calculations done to set this target rotation. And then the actual aircraft rotation just gets like lerped to match that target rotation. So the target rotation, basically what I tried to do is I tried to say, okay, what is the difference in angle between the target rotation and the actual aircraft rotation along the X axis? The problem is this plane is rotating. So I'm dealing with like a constantly changing coordinate system, and it just gets messy really fast. So I scrapped it. It was not working. I could not, it would work half the time, and then I'd move like beyond 90 degrees and suddenly the thing would just snap. Like, rotations are ugly. So the way that it just occurred to me I could do this is I could use the UI. I could, instead of quantifying the difference between target rotation and the aircraft rotation, I could just say, what's the difference between this ring here, like the goal ring, and the actual, hey, what's up, man? What's the difference between the goal ring and the actual aircraft ring along just the X? And it's super easy to do that. And then based on that, I just rotate the plane accordingly. So let's actually try that. I've also implemented a couple changes to the UI stack. So now UI widgets, there's a base widget class and there's a widget layer class. Widget layers are basically just collections of widgets that you can, it's just a way to group widgets. So like, there's an aircraft widget layer, and that handles all UI that's tied to the aircraft in some way, but I can have multiple widget layers in the scene and they can all exist. There's different types of widgets right now. There's rect and circle. Circle is like rings, all of that stuff. And then rect will later have text involved and buttons and stuff like that. So we're using an inheritance-based structure. But yeah, let's get to this. So the first thing we need is a reference to this aircraft widget layer in the aircraft. Yeah, or no, we need to do this within the aircraft. So, this also has a reference to the aircraft though, which means we're not gonna do that. Okay, we're gonna break some rules here. We're gonna set the aircraft rotation in this widget layer. Ooh, that's ugly. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Thanks for telling me those tips a few days ago. I started making my own game engine C++ and it's going good. Heck yeah, dude. So glad I could help. Yeah, dude, 100%. You're killing it. So what we need to do is we need, how do we get a reference to this widget layer? Specifically these two widgets. Hola. Hey, what's up? Hola, man. No hablo español, sadly, but I know that word. Okay, maybe we just need a reference to these two widgets, honestly. Okay, we can do that. And we do not need, yeah, these will be private. We need to change how we do this in the future. Circle widget, aim widget, and then std shared pointer circle widget, and then this was, what was it called? Do you have a Discord server I could perhaps join and subscribe to you? Thanks, man. I don't have a Discord server yet, but once this game is live and people are playing it, I will probably make a Discord server. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. Once school starts, man, it would kill me if I actually got somewhere with this and like had people interested in it and really hyped it up, and then school just like destroyed my ability to work on it. So I'm trying to like ease my way into, like, I'm not going to commit to anything too much just yet. But yeah. All right, let's see. Okay, so we have those two references, and then in the initialize method, yeah, we need the initialize method now. Okay, so aircraft.initialize, void aircraft initialize, and then here we're going to say aim widget equals scene manager current scene. We need a way to get access to widgets. That was something I don't have yet either. We are going to have a get widget by name and a get widget by ID method, and then this will just be widget. Oh my gosh, widget. Take those two things, and then it will be widget layer. Oh yeah, we need a widget layer because that's how we're storing these. We don't want that capitalized. Take that. And then if the widget layer.id is that, well, actually, we need to return, we'll just return widget layer. Oh my gosh. Dot get widget by name. And then we'll just pass in name. That method doesn't exist yet, but we will implement it. We will also have a get widget by ID. I don't actually plan on using the get like by ID methods much, but I'm just trying to plan for the future. I might have something like that. Widget layer, we need an std shared pointer widget, and then that will be get widget by name. Const std string name, and then what else? We'll have, what was it? Const unsigned int ID. Oh, I think I accidentally passed in the name in our previous scene thing here. Yeah, ID. Then let's see. Okay, so we have all that set up. And those are there. Void widget. No, not void. std shared pointer widget. Get widget by name. Shared. Here. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? String name. And then one thing to mention, if any of y'all know how to properly set up the C integration, the C++ integration, like syntax highlight, autocomplete with Z, please let me know. Because right now, I can't just use like the CMake, the generated CMake configuration stuff, because there's two of them. One of them is for the desktop build and one of them is for the web build. And I have to choose which one I want to use. But when I choose one of them, it seems to break everything, and it's just a situation of it's broken, and I don't have the patience to actually fix it. So if anybody knows how to do that, that would be awesome. Let's see. This will be widget in widgets, and then if widget name is equal to name, return widget. And then we'll just copy this and do the same for the ID based stuff. Man, let's see. Unsigned int ID, widget, ID, ID. We also need to return null pointer otherwise. No. Return null pointer. I think this should work. Unless I did some sort of, yeah, I did something wrong. I very rarely I'll type this correctly the first time. Get widget by name has no member get widget by name. That's not true. I do have a get widget by name. Widget layer. Get widget by name. I do. Maybe I didn't save it. Please don't be some sort of... Also, how are you doing shaders in the game? GLSL. So I write all of the GLSL. So typically, you know, GLSL. OpenGL has vertex shaders and fragment shaders. Everything has vertex shaders and fragment shaders. I'm writing it all in one file, and then just I have a parsing system that separates it. So you can see I write hashtag vertex, and then everything up until hashtag fragment is vertex shader code. And then when I load these files, automatically it splits them into two separate like strings of text and then compiles them from there. It just makes it a little easier. I actually learned that trick from I think it was Thin Matrix. Or no. It might have been Thin Matrix. Let's see. Greetings, may I please? Seems to me. Yep, absolutely. I just watched popular GPA providers. Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, I only started streaming. Technically, I started streaming like 6 months ago, but I did it like twice, and then school got busy. Oh, mate, you also forgot to add widget layer to the function, I think. Cool, I didn't know that. Yeah, absolutely. What did you say, actually? That might... that's... Get widgets by name, get widget by name. Scene. This is in the header file. This is get widget by name, const unsigned int ID. What did I do wrong here? Widget layer has no member. Return widget layer. Okay, so that's in the scene class. Get widget by... Oh. That's definitely something wrong. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, of course. Did you mean widget? No. No, widget layer contains a series of widgets. Shared pointer. This is a vector of shared pointers. That should all be correct. Maybe it's this that we need. Widgets was not declared in the scope. Do you mean widget? No. No, I meant widgets. That's a little funky. Widgets. That should all be in scope. Get my name. And then the CPP stuff should be there. Maybe I misspelled something? No. It's not declared in the scope. It should be declared in the scope. Maybe it's because it's not... Maybe this is a... Yikes, that was not it. Widgets declared inline field. Yet we still have the scope issue. May I inquire what needs system besides service level top? Yeah. We're making a web-based dogfighting game. I'll show you the run so far. This is like very early. But ever played War Thunder? If you have, that's kind of how these controls feel. And the goal is, you know, this is the desktop build, but I'm building it with full web support as well, which I can show you here. Basically, you know, you load into a match with your friends. It could be in the beginning, it will just be exclusively 1v1s. You know, you'll send like a lobby invite code. It'll be very much a web game, if that makes sense. Very easy to like load in, play a match, and hop out. And there will be like full scale map and all of that stuff. And it'll have, you know, 1v1 dogfighting, at least in the beginning. And then towards, I'd like to have like 16-player lobbies at one point. That'd be awesome. So yeah, that's kind of it. It's an IO dogfighting game. I feel like there's like, I saw a guy on X yesterday. He actually replied to one of my comments, which is, I'm trying to grow my X page. It's proving to be much harder to grow than YouTube. But there was a guy yesterday. He posted this web GPU demo where he built like a fighter jet with War Thunder controls. It was exactly what I was trying to build. So I asked him like, "Hey, how'd you do the controls?" And he gave some good advice. But the tech to make this is there. I wonder why it hasn't been made yet. So I figured might as well try to, you know, beat the industry on this one. That would be cool, right? Why does this not throw errors? Because these are all... There's got to be something really stupid here. Because I'm already iterating through. That looks awesome. What system level is this based on? It's using pre-made SDK. No. So this is OpenGL, and this is just plain old C++ and OpenGL. The libraries I'm using, also don't worry about graphics. Function, yeah. So here's the thing. Yeah, graphics are bad right now, and the reason I chose to use OpenGL and you don't have to delete that comment, actually. That's a totally valid thing to say, actually. The reason I chose OpenGL and C++ and to do that for the browser instead of using Rust and WebGPU. Firstly, I'm much more familiar with both of those previous things. I'm using OpenGL 3.3, update to 4.6 or something. Just wondering. I mean, the newer OpenGL versions are a lot more fun to work with, I think. If you can whatever you feel comfortable with using. OpenGL is outdated. So really it just comes down to, like, if you're trying to make a passion project, use whatever version you're happiest with and whatever you can make it look the best. But using OpenGL in the browser, like what happens is I'm using something called Emscripten, which lets you write C++ code, compiles it to WebAssembly. That gets inserted into an HTML file and it runs in the browser. The problem, your OpenGL code gets translated to WebGL, which is extremely limited. So I am very much like, I've got one hand tied behind my back when I'm developing this thing graphically. But because I have a desktop build going alongside of it, if this works, if people play this, if this is fun, I would like to have a desktop version as well that has better graphics. And that's really the selling point there. Do you like this game? Download the desktop version from Steam or something and better graphics. Maybe better, you'll be playing in the same matches, like desktop players can play with web players. Yeah. Is the choice of my own a compatible option? Can't make sound. Also, don't worry about grounding. No, I can't make something non-existent. What do you mean? This is so frustrating. Why is this not? Oh my gosh, dude, someone in the chat was exactly right. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I have to scroll up and actually thank you for that. Someone called this out and I was just I'm not going to say the word because I don't know what YouTube standard is. Oh, mate. Yeah. YOLO Comexicanos. You were exactly right, and I was blind. And yet we still have a linker. Undefined reference to aircraft that initialized. Yeah, I don't think we've... Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, current scene dot get widget by name. And I think this was called aim widget. And let's see. We can see what we named it here. No. It's in the aircraft construction. Yeah, aim widget and mouse widget. Those are the two things we're looking for. So aim widget, and then we need to std static shared cast, I think it is. And then this would be circle widget. Actually, we don't even need that. We don't even need to cast this. This can just be a plain old widget. Widget there. And then here, aim widget. Let's just see if that works off the bat. Aim widget. Did I misname something? Yeah, I did. There. This should work. If this didn't, probably because of something really stupid. Warning, control reaches end of... Wait, what? Scene. Oh, I know what it is. We have to have that edge case. What method? Get widget by name. String name, entity, return. Wait a minute. No, it was get widget by name. Get widget by name. Yeah, we have to add that, even though that is already handled by the previous thing. Yep, this is going to build. And then once this builds, okay, runs, builds, perfect. Okay, now we have access to the aim widget. We'll do the same thing for mouse widget. And then that would be mouse widget. And then here, now that we have access to those two things, at the very end of all of our rotational logic, which is here, we could, okay, here's the thing. Do we rotate the target rotation or do we rotate? We should rotate target rotation. Target rotation dot rotation equals glm rotate target rotation. And then here we're just going to get the difference. So float differ UI diff equals aim. Let's see, widget dot x dot position dot x. What is it? 2 minus from. So mouse widget position dot x. And then this is not going to work off the bat perfectly, but I just want the proof of concept. And then we'll just do global forward. And then this should rotate. Let's see. Oh, whoops, I didn't keep a track of the chat. My username is just an inside joke, by the way. Call me your local moon or something. All right. I don't want to advertise you because I don't want to advertise, but because you asked, I'm working on a project of mine. C energy and axioms require fundamental system API I've been working on too. My rule of thumb, whatever works, man. Like if it gets the project from in your head to building, then libraries are fine. I mean, what is, oh, yeah, I need to rename that later, but too many things are in cross-platform architecture. The axioms are quite lengthy in summary. Like a word. Wow. Man, sounds like a pretty robust project. Very nice. No, I don't think it's spam, man. Don't worry. Oh, look. It's rotating the wrong way, but the pseudocode works. And we're also rotating it based on global forwards, which is wrong. But now we just need the aircraft forward rotation, which I think we get previously already. Let's see. Yeah, we rotate here. That works. Now, or is it actually working? It might be working enough already. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Now, I think we should rotate before. Actually, we should do this the other way around. That actually seems to work off the bat, like, surprisingly well. Let's see. It's just ignoring all of the previous stuff. Quaternion, look at. What was it? Will you enable your create your project here? No, maybe create your project here. For example, you compile and execute it anywhere as long as fundamentals. Yeah, that's cool. That sounds like a pretty cool cross-platform app, man. Let's see, GLM slurp transform rotation. Maybe this is where we should do it. Now this will cause a couple inconsistencies, admittedly. Like, yeah, that's kind of what I was worried about. And because we're moving based on the plane's forward position, this does kind of mess with things. Let's see. There's got to be a way that we can, like, maybe it's just by multiplying. And then it might be a pre-rotation, honestly, that we need to do instead of that. But we'll see. Yeah, ooh, that's not it. Let's see. Target rotation, look at. Let's see, target rotation dot rotation. And we'll do that. But we aren't worried about the target rotation as much as we're worried about the aircraft. Yikes. Ooh. Okay. So this rotation logic works. I just think we're applying it to the wrong thing. So our transform.rotation is that. And then we will rotate the transform after everything else. Okay. Good. Better. Kind of hard to fly because it keeps liking to rotate down. Hey man, how you doing? Doing well, man. But as I said, it's not simple. It's nothing really. It's tried to create. Yeah, if no one else has tried to make it, man, more power to you, dude. But yeah, Brobino, I'm doing well. We're making a web-based a .io game. To be quite frank, we're making a .io game. But I need to figure out a web dogfighting game. War Thunder in your browser, but not like, we're not going to have all the War Thunder stuff. It's mainly the dogfighting part. Starting off with 1v1s, we'll have 16-player lobbies later on. And this is like after, I think, a week of work, tops. So I'm happy with progress. This feels incorrect. I think we might want to do it the other way around. Maybe this will work better. Right now, we're just playing around with rotations and seeing what works. Okay. That, it keeps rotating downwards. I don't like that. Like, why is it doing that? Man, maybe I don't want the aircraft's physical rotation to change anything about how this works, and that's what's frustrating. Maybe it's that we're rotating with global forward. That could be it. Maybe we do it based on like purely the aircraft's. Yeah, that looks like it because it works a little better. We can get the aircraft forward. I already have the aircraft forward here. I'll just define it earlier. And then aircraft forward. We'll take that. Maybe this will help. Let's see. Rotate here. What? Oh my, this is totally broken. But we're making progress. Actually, here's a thought. Because this is Quaternions, which I think are already in local space. This could be extremely stupid. And probably is, against my better judgment. But let's try it. We're just trying different things here, and I wanted to ask an expert question. I'm young, I have zero knowledge programming code. And what language should I start with? Everyone says Python or Lua, but I want an expert opinion. Two things. One, I'm not an expert, but I appreciate the compliment. I've been doing this for fun for years, and I love doing this stuff. I personally started with Java. Well, I started in Godot. Godot script was technically my first thing, but I very quickly moved to Unity and C#, which is pretty much Microsoft Java. And then I did Java. So if you're trying to, and then from Java, I went to C++. If you're trying to get into like the programming part of things, and it's not as much about making games, Java is a good language to start with. There's some pitfalls. You don't learn pass by value, pass by reference, but you do get an early introduction to object-oriented programming, which is controversial but undeniably important. I think my starting in Java helped me a lot. What on earth? That did not work. So yeah, I mean, I'd suggest Java. C# is literally the same thing as Java. Actually, if anything, maybe you should start with C#. It's pretty much Java, but I guess I just like the syntax a little better. You're good with whatever you... Really, it doesn't matter what language you start with. It doesn't. If you want to start with Python or Lua, you can start with Python or Lua. Once you know one language well, you know them all. Or at least it's very easy to pick up any. You could ask... There's some languages it's harder to pick up. Like, I probably couldn't pick up Rust in 30 seconds. But I picked up Dart in a day. JavaScript was the same thing. Once you learn that programming is just expressing abstract logic with a concrete language, yeah. Yeah. Having fun is learning. Started with Lua when I was 7. Now I can rate my own essay if I had time. Yeah. Great example right there. Man, that's disappointing why this is messing with things so much. It shouldn't be that insanely hard to just rotate an aircraft. But it could be that... So the way rotations are working is we're just going to that. And if we rotate... I'm just trying to visualize in my head what's going on. My gut says we should rotate this first, but that doesn't work. Transform target rotation, that rotation, golden rule. Maybe we just go back to the target rotation was honestly the closest thing we got to having it work off the bat. And then we could just settle with that, honestly, until further refinement is needed. Because I don't want to spend forever on this. It also gets completely disregarded. So maybe it's... Look at camera up. Yeah. Maybe. Here's an idea. Oh. Vec3 local up. We could do a local up variable, replace that, and local up will literally just be rotate global up. And then this way, Maybe this works. I also wanted to ask about low level or high level. What is a low level or high level language? I don't know the difference. Good question. Low level languages. Okay. In my mind, and this is not the accurate. I will first give you my definition, and then I will give you the industry definition. Okay. My definition: a low level language gives you easy access to complete hardware control. That's my personal definition. So in my mind, C and C++ are low-level languages. Rust, in my mind, is a low-level language. They're meant for systems programming. You can flip individual bits easily on your computer. High-level languages, in my mind, are Java, Script, Dart, Lua, scripting languages that aren't concerned with they abstract a lot. That's my personal definition. The real definition is this. A high-level language is any language that isn't binary. So binary is a low-level language. The computer understands it perfectly, but it's harder for people to understand. So they made assembly, which was easier for people to understand, but it had to be then translated into binary, compiled to something a computer could understand. Technically assembly could be considered a high-level language. Then C came along. C would let you do, because assembly was still different on every machine. Binary code, the code you have to write in binary, is different for different machines. Like, I can't write one binary code and then run it on a Windows 11 Intel processor and then also run it on a Ryzen processor. I have to rewrite that whole thing twice. And that sucks. So then, C came along. What C let people do was C let people write code one time and then compile it into many different types of assembly code or machine code, depending on what app they were trying to make for what machine. So a high-level language in the literal definition would be any language that lets the programmer, that prioritizes programmer readability and ease of use over the machine's understanding. So technically everything except binary and assembly. And I think you can make the case that assembly is both high-level and low-level in some ways. Technically, everything except those two things is a high-level language. But I don't like that definition because it feels like a useless definition to me. Like, if everything's a high-level language except two languages, why do we need that definition? So in my mind, that's just my personal spiel on that. This could be rotate, target rotation. Global up. Wait a minute. Local up is that. And then this should be a quaternion. And then this rotate func method should rotate the global. Oh, my brain is broken. Okay. Let's just rotate. So more low the language is that more machine understands better. The machine understands okay, so the machine doesn't understand any language. The machine doesn't understand C. The machine doesn't understand C++. The machine doesn't understand any language except binary. We made these languages so that we could understand them and write code more easily. A high-level language, think of it like the farther away you are from binary. Because actually, believe it or not, some languages compile down to there's multiple steps. So Java, for example, doesn't get compiled straight to binary. It gets compiled into bytecode, which then gets run on. There's a bunch of in-between steps until you inevitably get to binary that can run. Yeah, it's all just abstraction. It is all just abstraction, but if you're really new, you might not know what that means. Really, the farther away you are from binary, the more high level it is. The closer you are to binary, the lower level it is. Typically, low-level languages are faster too. That's another thing to know. But if you're beginning, don't worry about speed. Just worry about understanding how to program. Yeah. Local up. Man, this is... Okay, so local up. We want to rotate... Quaternion. What was the method? There's a method that lets us just rotate a vector based on a quaternion. I think it might actually just be this. We can rotate a vector based on a... There's a method that lets us just rotate this like this. I'm so bad at explaining things. Don't worry, bro. It's easier to explain things when you're talking. This looks like it should work. Oh, okay. That's good to know. And then after, well, wait. Every code write is just getting converted. Yes, inevitably everything you write at one point is getting converted into ones and zeros because that's the only thing the computer understands. And we've just made all these languages so that we can understand it better. I see some rotation happening. Do you see that? The problem is it's not stopping. But that looks like what we're looking for. So if that's... And then the difference is we're also... that local up needs to be multiplied by the difference. Maybe... Let's see. We need to like lerp between two different rotations. Oh, that's what we can do. GLM mix local up, global up, and we'll do it using UI diff. I think it's absolute. And then that should, gosh darn it, Windows, I don't want any of those features. Okay. What's your game making? I'm making a web-based dogfighting game. So when I say web-based dogfighting, I mean like flying planes and shooting at each other. Because I think that IO games are a lot of fun, and there's a low barrier to entry in making them, and I know that I probably can't compete with AAA games on Steam, so I figured I might as well. I also don't actually care about making games that much. For me, it's more the systems. And like, I have a lot more fun making that kind of stuff than anything else. So making, honestly, my goal here is here's my end goal. I want to get hired, right? I want to get hired and do this for a living because I love doing it. The way I get hired is by proving I can make projects and products that people use. Because the industry's so bad right now that you have to be pretty stinking good at this stuff. So if I can make something that people actually use and I learn to scale things, like I have to make a service. I have a bunch of people using it. I can put that on my resume and say, hey, dude, I built this app that a ton of people use. I had to scale this whole thing. I had to write code that worked, deal with bugs, player feedback, all of that, and just show that I actually can do that stuff. So, yeah, that's my personal, that's my reasoning. I also just love doing this. Like, this is so much fun to me. And live streaming is a lot of fun too. I didn't realize I enjoyed it as much as I do until I got involved with it more. Oh, look at that. So that works. Multiplying it is just, I see the problem. We should not be multiplying it. We should be dividing it by a lot. And then that's probably backwards, but that's okay. Yeah, look at that. Rotate. And then... the problem here is that it's rotating the global up. Rotating the global up based on what? Good luck, man. I hope you get that job. Thanks, man. Me too. But we're doing this wrong. Local up should be rotated along what? We have our global up axis. We have our forward axis. And when we turn, we want to rotate our global up along that by a certain amount. So actually the way we should be doing this is we should be taking global up and we should be rotating it by UI diff and we should be rotating it along airplane forward. Man. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like to, I definitely know that I'm not the best at this. I just like doing it. And I'm wrong about a lot of things. If you look at my source code, I guarantee you the senior, if there's any senior developers here watching, I guarantee you will look at my source code and be like, man, why is this guy explaining things to people? And my comeback to that will be because I like explaining things. And I never claimed to be an expert. But yeah, we're getting closer actually. I think this is getting a little better. We're rotating global up by the UI difference. Let's see. So we have that now. And then that seems to also be working a little bit. So we'll do that. Man, if we had local rotation in this that I could just edit that way, There's a thought. Okay, here's what we're gonna how to rotate. What was it? Quaternion on local roll axis. Let's see. Quaternions and rotations, world axis. How to rotate locally. Yeah, in Unity, there's very easy ways to do this. Transform local rotation. Yeah, it's very easy to do that. But I don't have local rotation functionality here. I have global rotation. I'm working with quaternions directly. Maybe... I don't think that's correct, but might as well test it out. Rotations break my brain, dude. Yeah, that's not it. It's definitely the local forward thing. It's definitely not the global stuff. Once we can get this plane rotating properly, that's what I mean. At a time when they stayed in doing something a little deeper. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. What on earth is going on here? Why is... It just seems to be working a little wrong. Like, why can't I just say rotation.z equals this? And then that would be so much nicer. But I can't because I'm dealing with quaternions. Gosh darn it. Is there a Euler angles method here? Let's see. Euler angle methods. Angle methods in GLM. Let's see. Where are the versions? Yaw, pitch, roll. Creates a forward. Awesome. Let's try that. Yaw, pitch, roll. Okay. 0 yaw, 0 pitch. The only roll we're going to have is UI diff. Yourself. Thank you, man. Yeah, I don't want to mislead people. Yaw, pitch, roll, UI diff. Yeah, here's another thing I learned. GLM really likes working with floats and only floats. GLM, yaw, pitch, roll. Not a member of GLM. What are you talking about? It literally auto-completed with that. Is it maybe yaw, pitch, roll? Yeah, that should be it. There's probably a header I'm missing here. What is it? Yeah, eulerangles.hpp. That's what it was. There's this extra thing here. Include, paste that. Yaw, pitch, roll. Oh, wait a minute. Why am I assigning this to... There's another stupid mistake. That's not local up. That's just the rotation. That this is what we want to set. And we will say target. What was it? Local up is not what we want. We're just going to use global up. And that lets us rotate accurately. And then off the bat, this is going to get ignored if we don't do that until after. And we'll just say target rotation equals this. Well, this is not going to work. But actually, if we can get it, it's not going to follow my mouse anymore. But there is some rotation happening. Okay, so then maybe it's times equals. Actually, maybe it's just take this and multiply the two. Quaternions seem to just love to be multiplied randomly. But we can't do that. Gosh darn it, I really wish I'd taken linear algebra at this point, man. Hello. What's up, dude? Euler angles quaternion. How to rotate quaternion on local roll axis. That's all I want to do. GLM. Explain to me. OpenGL, GLM, local rotation. Rotate, matrix. Model matrix instead of angles. Initialize model. Now I'm using quaternions for a reason here, because I have to lerp them. You can't really lerp matrices very well. It breaks. Local roll rotation. Orientation. Orientation is a local roll axis. Roll rotation. Okay. I think I understand what that's saying. Let's see. Quat local roll equals what was it? It was target rotation dot rotation times global forward. We'll take that. And then, what was it? I apologize, I haven't been eager. Your project simply catch my attention. Yeah, sure, dude. No worries. If you're interested in it, that's awesome. Angle axis. What was this? Let me think about how this works. Angle axis creates a function that creates a criterion from an angle and a normalized axis. Yeah, that makes sense. GLM vector local roll axis. And then, what did it create? Creates a quaternion. Yeah, okay. GLM quat. We don't even need to create a temporary quaternion. We can literally just say target rotation dot rotation, and then you multiply the new quaternion times the old quaternion, which would be GLM angle axis. And you need an angle and you need a vector axis. So the angle that we're using is UI diff, and the axis is this. And we'll have a multiplier that I can edit in the times target. Let's try it without any change. Like without, we're not going to add to our rotation. We're just going to use it on its own. What is going on here? That seems like a nasty amount of error text. I don't care about that old method. It didn't work last time. Okay. This should rotate it without rotating the plane. This should just do what we did previously. I think that's the wrong axis. Let's see. That's not too good. Because we, roll axis, rotation. No worries. Let's see. Global left. This is frustrating. This is very frustrating. It's definitely because of how I've set this up, but we're in too deep to change this at the moment. And I refuse to AI this. I could go to Claude and ask it how to do this, but I'm not going to. And if you want, you're going to have to suffer through this with me. Because I don't think it's a good thing to do. If we were to, does global forward work? Because then it's not about our orientation. It's about our so it is something to do with our axis of rotation. Oh, I see. When we roll the plane, that changes our rotation, which changes what the global forward is. And we shouldn't care about that roll aspect, but we have to. Oh, that's so frustrating to think about. So everything we do is going to affect the roll. Like if we change the roll, that changes our up vector, which changes everything afterwards. So we have to do this beforehand, which means, here's an idea. Roll axis. We're just gonna do UI diff, and then we're just gonna find a way that we can merge these two changes together. So if we can rotate the plane, and then from wherever our plane is rotated, look at the camera position. See that? That's not gonna do anything. We know that. But if there's a way that we can, like, roll then apply. See, we're getting somewhere there. We are getting somewhere there, actually. Hold on. But that's the wrong direction. But if that works... Please work. Please work. Please work. And sometimes it just doesn't work. That's okay. I don't mind. Oh, yeah. That looks about right. And if we start flying... That looks about right. UI is a little tweaked because of that. But look at that. Yeah. We got it. And the next thing we need to do is we need the actual flaps and ailerons. Like, those are all animated. So, but the first thing that we also need to do is we need to get rid of this. Some of these settings need to be changed. For example, we don't need the camera lag distance yet. We actually do need that later. Control surface tween slurp. Sorry, I thought you were trying to aim. No. The UI is actually was surprisingly easy to make. By the way, it's not pixel perfect. I probably will have to go back and change that. But let's see. What is it? I think there's a roll amount. And we will say that it is roll magnifier. We'll just call it that. And then we'll just say 1.0. And then in our aircraft at the bottom, we're going to have to say float roll magnifier. And then when we load this thing in, right now I'm trying to make everything roll magnifier. Trying to make everything based on like files. So when I make a new plane, all I have to do is take a model, write a JSON file, and suddenly everything works. I don't want to have to write any new C++ code unless I'm changing things about the engine. Hopefully everything will be data-driven in the future. I think it's a good design choice, I guess you could say. And then UI diff times that. And then if we compile, that shouldn't cause any problems. That works. Yeah, that works. That works pretty well, actually. And we can change them, and now we can iterate pretty quickly. Let's make it like something insane. Let's say 5.0. If we rotate this, look at that. Look at how dramatic those rotations are. Kind of actually breaks everything because it over rolls. But that's okay. Hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, we're just going to set it to 1.0. I think that actually is a pretty good like start spot. Okay, the next thing we need to do is get those flaps to roll, to work accordingly. Right now, the way they're working is purely from keys. That's wrong. So like if I was to show you what I mean by that, I have to manually go in, and while I'm flying, I have to say, like, look at that. The rudder's applied. Flaps are applied. Like this is what I kind of want it to look like. And like that. See? I'm having to press the keys and make it manually do that. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. And then that. What modulus time? Look at that. Pretty cool, I'd say. So if we can, and the way I think I'm going to do that is it's going to be based on the difference between the target rotation and the primary rotation. So let's see. These are for roll, and the amount that we're going to roll them by. Actually, we just need a boolean. So we'll have several booleans. We'll have bool should roll. That's not a good name. Let's see. Bool roll roll diff. Roll threshold. And then that will be equal to, and we'll just say if roll threshold, like if we should roll, actually, int roll threshold. If it's equal to 1, threshold equals 1, then that's good. And then if it's equal to -1, then that's where we're at. But we're going to set it to 0 in the beginning. And the way that we're going to do, and we'll have the same thing for everything else. We'll have yaw threshold, and we'll have pitch threshold. Naming things is harder than creating a system. I understand why people say that. I've personally never, I mean, I rarely am writing for like a production level team. So, oh, wait a minute. Because of the way we're doing this, this might be an issue that could be resolved later, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is going to be a pretty big rework. Because the way that we're doing this is based on when I press down and release the keys. That is not the way we should be doing this. So, I think I will fix that off stream. I don't want to bore you guys, because that's going to be a boring one. So, aircraft roll, done. We're going to say postponed, which will be a slash. and then clean up aircraft description files. We did that. Well, at least I thought I needed to do that, but we didn't really need to do that. So now there was another option I was thinking, and I think we're going to do add break. We're going to add a break, okay? And I'm going to show you kind of the workflow I've built with this engine, okay? We're going to add a break to the model, and you're going to see what the model looks like behind the scenes, all right? Congratulations. Lucky you guys. You lucky few get to see what this thing looks like in Blender, all right? This is the model. Doesn't look terrible, I don't think. But there is a break bone here that I have not implemented. And to do so, we are going to see if let's just not enable that with syntax or something. Why don't you use modulus or threshold? I can use modulus. Yeah. Actually, I think you might be onto something. But the problem isn't, like, I can't just say rotate and then say that multiple frames for, like, the flaps. Let me explain to you what the issue is here. When I press down the key Q, on the instant that I press it, I rotate the flaps down. And then the instant that I release Q, the flaps come back up. But I have to call rotate twice. It's not like if I stop saying rotate that they go back to normal. And if I just keep calling rotate multiple frames, the flaps will literally, like a propeller, rotate. So I have to do it one time per frame. And that is because, to be quite honest, I'm not sure the quaternion math behind like how I would get that to work. I can get it to work. It's just gonna take some playing around with. But this is the plane. So all that we really should have to do to get a half decent looking break, we're gonna create like a point there, and then I want the break to look kind of like that. Yeah, I think that's a good look for this. And then I also should probably dissolve these vertices. We're gonna select loops, edge loops. We're gonna dissolve these. Dissolve edges. Yeah, that looks good. And then how we're gonna make this break, we're gonna go here. We're gonna scale this a little bit. I think that'll be good. That might be a noticeable, like, kind of a, it's not a bug, it's a feature. And actually, it won't be noticeable if everything is smaller on this side. And then we'll do the same thing here. It might be a little, that one looks kind of noticeable too, but you know, I think we'll fix that later. So here's how this works. Take these, we are going to extrude it downward. This may not be the best way to do it, because we have to, okay, we have to take this, move it downwards, or now this is going to be how we do this. And then we are going to move this upwards. And this is where we have to be very careful because we only get one chance to do this right. We have to go into here, select each vertex, and then we will mesh separate. I believe it's faces. Yeah, mesh separate by selection. And then now that we have this separate piece, we have to close up this gap that we made because there's a gap now. We'll merge these and we'll merge these, and then that's good. We'll go here. We also have to close this gap on the bottom side here. And then now we have to take this model, because it is a separate thing, and we're going to go, we're going to give it entire, like all of the weights are going to be assigned to the break. Assign. Actually, I think we have to parent this anyway. We're going to take this, parent with empty groups. We're going to go here. We're going to parent all of these to the break. Yep. And then we're going to re-merge, join these. And now, technically, if I go here, yep, there we go. Now the issue here, as you can see, there's some of these vertices are being affected by the root bone. We need to remove all of those and only go to the break, assign, go here, not parent, join, and then that should work now. Now we have complete, yep, there we go. And now what I'm hoping this will look like is when we go here, turn that off, not that. We have to go into pose mode, here, rotate, boom, flat comes up. It's a very small break. We need to make it probably bigger, which luckily we can do very easily. You can also kind of tell it's there. The normals are not, are kind of giving it away. But we should be able to, like, we could just, no, not normal, global. Let's see. By the way, if I'm not responding at this moment, I'm just a little bit dialed, that's all. Let's see. And you can kind of see that it's there. You can very much see that it's there. Wow, that is prominent. We got to probably change the normals on that thing just a little bit. Mesh, normals. We already recalculated those, so we're just going to have to probably smooth these. Let's see, shade smooth. There should be shade auto smooth. It's because there's ridges here. Look, it's a price you have to pay, I guess. We might also just be able to do like this. Oh yeah, that's what we'll do. Take that, move this up a little bit. Oh, that'll look even more obvious. You know what? Well, I will fix that later. But now we have our new model, so we can export that to meshes. Use .gltf, data, mesh, apply modifiers and tangents. Now, this probably will break some stuff, but if it doesn't break anything, didn't break anything, there we go. You can kind of see it, the break. And now, if we want to use the break, we will say if input manager is key, just press gltw key B to break. And then I've already set up all of the break bone mappings. So this shouldn't be any harder than going here, just released. And then this should be break. Actually, we'll just take that. And then break max angle. I think that's what we called it. Break max. Yeah, that's what it was. Break max angle. We'll rotate it that much. And I think it should be along the X, if I had to guess. Like how we need to rotate this. Let me keep an eye on the time. Yeah, we got a tiny bit more time. Let's see. Build. Come on. Launch. B. It moved. You can see it's... I think it's moving backwards. Let's see. Break. Yep, there we go. Look at that. We'll have to lerp that. Interpolation will be another thing to work on too. But we'll move a little faster. I also, you know, while we're at it, let's add an afterburner. Since it's just that easy. Like, modeling stuff, you know? Professional modeler here. And the way we will do that, we're going to use a separate object, at least in the beginning. It's going to be pretty low resolution. I am working with browser limitations. 16. Let's be generous. We'll give it 16 vertices. We want it to be a circle. We'll rotate along the X 90 degrees. Are you trying to make those vertice point lines so it doesn't affect the vector result? Yes. Well, rather, I'm just trying to make it where... Why is this not rotating 90 degrees? Why can't I rotate it? That's really weird. We can rotate that. If we go here, rotate all the vertices. We can't rotate all the vertices. What is going on here? We have a separate circle. Oh, it's off-centered anyway, so we can't use that to begin with. And we need to recenter the... how do we recenter that thing? Was it select, blah, 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 blah. It was this. I've had to do this so many freaking times. How to recenter cursor in Blender. There's a keybind that just puts it right back to the center. Recenter, Shift plus C. Shift C. Yep, there we go. Look at that. It's that easy. Add mesh, circle, edit, move it back here, rotate it 90 degrees, which doesn't seem to work. For some reason, rotation just doesn't work. That's really weird. Local. Why can't we rotate? Is something locked? There has to be something locked. Man, you're finding one idea for feature. Awesome. Glad I could help. Why on earth? Mother of pearl, dude. Orientation, default, select, box. What? Okay, you know what? Screw that. We're just gonna go here. We're gonna do this the hard way. We're gonna have to select the faces of this thing, and we're gonna extrude it. We're gonna scale it down. This is just gonna be our afterburner. And then, let's see. Afterburner usually looks about that big. There's a texture that has to be involved here. Here's the afterburner I'm going for. Flight maneuvers. I want to see the pictures of that. This is virtual flight maneuvers. The afterburner is a 3D model with some transparent texturing. I can make that. I can totally make that. So that's what I'm going for. Now that I'm thinking about it, it may be a little bit more intense modeling. And as long as Blender is freaking out like that, I'm not sure I want to break it anymore. So we'll keep that as is. We have flight controls. Like, that's a pretty big deal. This is something to be extremely happy about. I mean, look at that. And we have flight controls. Like, this is coming together a little bit. And you can fly. And we'll add zoom functionality as well. Right now, you can just scroll in and out as you like. Press tab and nothing happens. I have to say, and then let's just make sure everything works in the browser. Yeah. That should link. Come on, load. There we go. I don't need that open. Look at that. That works pretty well, actually. That works surprisingly well. And from here, it's just refine, you know, keep playing around with it until it feels good. Although this UI isn't breaking. Like, I can fix the small details with that, but like, my arch nemesis, rotations and quaternions, has been temporarily put at bay. And we have a break, as you can see right there. And it looks pretty darn good. And everything's white. That feels wrong. There's something. Nothing should be, like, the whole map is blindingly white right now. In the aircraft, we have what? I think we have material here, don't we? We have skeletal mesh shader. What? Upload, use sun color, sun direction. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for aircraft.draw. The aircraft shader has what? Skeletal.glsl. U albedo. By the way, can't you just add vertices at the end and just apply a shader? Yeah, you can't. Well, here's the thing. Apply a shader. In an engine is that easy. But you have to remember, if you apply different materials to an object, like a GLTF model, the way it exports is it actually exports like two different models or different models based on what has different materials applied. So whatever I do, it has to have the whole mesh, the whole thing is going to have one material, unless I rewrite the importer. And I'm not looking to do that because that's a huge undertaking. So the whole thing's going to have essentially a texture, a couple textures. One texture will dictate the alpha of things, and that's where I'll like specify that the afterburner is a little transparent. And there will be like an albedo texture, and then there will be a normal texture. I will have to do something like that. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But you know what's cool? This means I can officially move flight controls. I can't move it totally. to the finished. But this is a sneak peek at the roadmap. I think the next thing we're gonna do. Flight controls is just so broad that like it'll take a while till that's completely finished, but I do want to change the aircraft color, so we'll say albedo. And I think I'm applying the albedo. There's a chance the albedo is just being ignored. No, the albedo's correct. So where is the color being applied? I think it's skeletal mesh. The mesh has a mesh, which has a material, which has an albedo. There we go. So all I got to do is in the aircraft, we'll do onload resource. Actually, we'll do on initialize, and we'll say mesh dot. Is it a pointer to a mesh? No, it's just a skeletal mesh. So skeletal mesh dot material dot albedo equals glm vec3. And we'll make this like a slightly gray shade. Oh, and it's a vec4. That's going to throw an error. Nope, it didn't. It isn't a vec4. It's a vec3. Good. That should change the color. Look at that. That already looks so much better. And then for the terrain, because terrain is also blind. The checker pattern is all done in the shader. I just wanted to be able to see where I was. In the terrain, we should be able to just say mesh. Yeah. Terrain, initialize. We shouldn't be doing that in there. We should be doing that in load resources. That needs to be changed. The load resources method is where we manage all of those things. Load resources. And then we'll take the shader there. Boom. Hit place. And then we'll say mesh dot material dot albedo equals vec3. And I want this to be green, so we'll do like a pastel. Actually, let's do like a very light pastel green. And I have just the thing. The old pastel green color from my Grasslands demo. It's pretty good. I had a pretty solid color there. And where did I do that? It was in gameplay. It was in systems, terrain system. There we go. This is where we should have set the terrain color. Albedo, cooler moss gray. Well, wait. That's not the grass. The grass is where we need. It's foliage system. The foliage system had a very nice, like, base green, calmer tone, lighter, softer tip. Yeah, it was this. This is what we'll take. We'll take the base green, and we'll just say, boom. That should work. And then if we run that, of course, we're not applying it, which we can do very easily. We'll just go into our terrain shader. We should be getting the albedo, yeah. And then it'll be val times u albedo. Shift build. That should. Maybe it didn't get fully incorporated. Wait a minute. So it's not getting set. That's what it is. So then somewhere in our terrain system, we're not setting U albedo. Begin draw mesh should have a U albedo being uploaded. Material.albedo. Terrain has a mesh. Mesh. Do you know differential equations? Nope. Just finished Calc 3 last semester. I will probably have to self-study that at some point. By probably, I mean definitely. It would be wrong of me not to. If you do, you could use a simple one to add enemies. I could. The enemy AI is going to be its own monster. Don't make me think about that too much. That is going to be a fun process. Maybe we manually upload shader uniform vec3 shader mesh dot material dot albedo and u albedo. Maybe I'm misspelling something somewhere. That could also be a totally it. Yeah, I don't sadly know the really the albedo is just not being applied. That's a really stupid error that shouldn't be happening. I've got to be misspelling something somewhere. U albedo is a vec3 val That shouldn't... That shouldn't be caused. That should be working. Like, I don't... What is the issue here? And then also the fact that we have a giant... Oh, look at that. We can actually fly this. I want to get this hosted sooner than later. Once I have some terrain, that'll be the next thing. The next stream will most likely be getting this thing looking good. I really want to get these controls working better soon. But like the fact that we got this working, even a little bit, to me is such a huge win. I mean, look at that. You actually have to consider how fast you're moving. Again, the playing controls are very rudimentary right now. But I want this playable. I want this playable, gosh darn it. Dot value. What on earth? Shadow color. Like, maybe we'll just make sure this is even getting uploaded. Because if this is not getting uploaded, that's an issue in itself. It's not getting uploaded. Okay. It's not getting uploaded. That's fine. In our terrain. Terrain resolution, U resolution, terrain.glsl, begin drawing mesh, use program, mesh.material.albedo. Let's just manually hardcode this to be black. Because then that might get us some indication as to where okay, so the bottleneck here is in this mesh.material.albedo. That's where our mistake is. Somewhere here, the terrain is not actually setting its mesh albedo. Probably because its mesh gets reset there. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That has got to be, look at that. It's already now green. I mean, look at that. We can fly now. That's pretty neat. Break. Oh, dude. This is actually fun. And it works on the web. All works on the web. And it's 210. We might call it. This is why you should have gotten curious about mathematics. Believe it or not, I actually like math a lot. I just simply haven't learned a lot of the math. I haven't gotten a formal education in a lot of the math that I've been using for a long time, if that makes sense. Like I have completed Calc 3, the Calc 1, 2, and 3. The lowest, I don't know why this is suddenly jittering in the web. The lowest grade I've gotten in any of my calculus classes was 97. And that was between 2 different schools. And so far, I was on a competitive math team. I very much like math. It's a lot of fun, but you're not really creating anything when you deal with math, I feel like. Or at least not as, like, on the surface making something as much as... that's the issue. So every now and then the UI disappears, and it's like, it's one of those bugs that occasionally doesn't appear, but then it does again. So something's wrong every now and then with that. Look, the actual, like, where the mouse is, that needs to be fixed. That's a big deal. Like, if that's still, yeah, like, why is the I bet you it's something really wild. So if we go here, aircraft.cpp, and we need to debug log that. We really need to do that. We need to get input manager.mousedelta.x. And then we'll actually paste that .y. Come on. Good. Come on. Okay. So that works. You can see the log there. The web build's gonna have some fun results. Watch it work. Watch this work when I try the web build. No, it didn't. This is good. It's been reproduced. We've caught it. 0, 0. I'm seeing a lot of really small numbers for some reason. Look at that. Like, what? Why is it saying... Like, there's a JavaScript error here. That looks like some sort of really goofy JavaScript error. Like, look at this. Like, why are we getting... Shouldn't the mouse delta be always an integer? It should be. So the fact that this is happening is indicative. Look at that. It works for the first couple some odd frames. And then it stops working. Why is it not working? Something here is wrong. Is very, very wrong. I wonder if it's the fact we're using doubles. I wonder... No. These are floats. GLM Vec2 double. Something here is really going weird. And it shouldn't be doing this. Overflow. Looks like it. Yeah, I bet you're right. But what could we be? What would be like mouse delta? I'm thinking like where could that even have mouse delta dot x equals that minus that. Okay, so this could be one of the areas. Are we resetting the mouse? We are resetting the mouse delta every frame, so that's good. Is equal to x. Maybe it's bit range overflow to be precise. Good point. Which still means that the mouse position, some numbers are just getting massive for no reason. Come on. Could it be because we are... It could be because I'm actually like locking the input. One thing I have is this. Let's see. If I remove all mouse hiding functionality, what happens? That does give us the mouse delta correctly. Okay. Build for the web. Go back to the output data. I will. Link, load, run. Okay. Zero, zero. Okay. So it's a really... No, minus e to the negative 6. So it's a very small number. Which... And it's along the x only. The y is working just fine. Oh, now the y's broken. Could it be something to do with the resizing of the window? It could be something to do with window resizing. That's so weird. Widget, aircraft, input. So it's not this. I can add that functionality back. What could it be? Let's see. 404, file not found, dev tools. That's separate. See out, add layer. Time not delta time. It's not that. It's legitimately the fact that this mouse delta variable is freaking out for some mysterious reason. And, again. Yeah. So you can eliminate this, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe, here's a thought. No, mouse delta is a float. Well, rather, it's a double, right? Mouse pose callback is a double. X mouse position is a double as well. What if the issue is here? And then if we go back into the aircraft thing, we can remove that. We can build the web version. And link, come on, dude. One thing about interpreted languages, the only nice thing about them, in my opinion, is that they just run immediately. Let's see. That's where the issue's happening. Somewhere here we're getting some really freaking weird values. It could be the window resizing. That would be my personal guess. And it was what? Was it positive or was it? Oh, well, we can run it. Because if it depending on whether this is positive or negative, we know which value is causing all the problems. Negative, positive, negative. Technically, that's not. What? Why is that behaving so strangely? Like, what is going on? So, it's negative and positive, which means the issue has something to do. Let's see. Input. It's something. Could it be the callback? Could this be behind the scenes, something going wrong with GLFW, and it's nothing I did? Because if that's the case, that would not be good. Oh, and it works. Do you see what I... Wait. I'm so stupid. I ran the desktop version. I'm sorry about that. Minor lapse of judgment. And then I really probably have to go after this. Here's a thought. I'm opening this thing in widescreen mode. What if we don't? What if we open it in something smaller? And the other thing is the mouse is not in it. When we launch, no, that's not it. Okay, let's look at the console. So X is in ints. At least it would appear. Until it's not. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with the position of X. The X value, it's GLM somewhere. So I think we've narrowed down what the issue is. It's this mouse position variable. Mouse position.x. And mouse position.x is set when? Is set here. What if it's carrying values between frames that it doesn't need to? Please work. Although we aren't always going to have our mouse position updated. That's the... Yep, there's the... Here's another thought. The issue might not be anything here because the camera is still working just fine. Wait a minute. The camera uses the exact same variable. If there was something wrong on this end, I wouldn't be able to look around like I am. Am I able to look around properly? Yeah, I'm able to look around just fine. So the issue has nothing to do with that. The issue has everything to do with the UI position. It has everything to do with the lerping. Maybe it's nothing to do with... Oh my gosh. The issue would appear to be the lerp function. And it might be the fact that we're lerping floats, and those are doubles. I feel like... But they're being implicitly casted to floats. So that shouldn't be it. That wouldn't make sense if that was it. Like... Oh. Look at that. That works. It's the lerp method. What is wrong with the lerp method? Double. Let's try that. How C++ declares things in where? What do you mean? I mean, it allocates on heap and stack. I mean, that sounds like a very naive answer to your question, or at least statement from me, but Also, there's a ton of ways to initialize them. You still don't get C++? No one. Well, people fully do. I wouldn't call myself one of them. Interesting. Very interesting. It's this lerp method. It might be the time.delta time variable. I actually have somewhere I need to be, so this is entirely me pushing off responsibilities in the pursuit of fixing a bug. But we're almost there. We're so close. Could be the delta time variable. Probably is the delta time variable. No, that looks like a good delta time variable. Maybe it's what we're lerping from. Let's see. Maybe. Let's see. Let's see. Well, if it really comes down to it, our lerp method is broken. I can fix that later. I will just set it to this. It'll look jank, but it'll work. And that should fix our problems. And then I can just push this to GitHub. And then build everything up. Let's see. Run. Yeah, that works. Those look like integers, by the way. But that works. On the web and on the desktop. So win. Awesome. All right, push that to GitHub. Call it a day. Thanks all for watching. Rolling. And I hope you all have a good day. All right. Peace out.